Awesome, guys. Welcome back to the channel. If you saw my last video, I broke it all down and just taking a look at like main gears and drags and all this kind of stuff. See if it was dry, what was going on. So I got to clean up a little bit here. I'm just gonna apply some of this Douthalon stuff to see how it works. Just the semi-fluid grease. As you saw in the last video, they use two types of grease as well. They had a clear kind of a gel grease on the plastic gears here. But one thing they did not have was grease on some of the friction points. Just to keep it lubed up. It's just nice to have grease on friction areas. So I'm just applying on springs, friction points here, and then it'll go on like the worm gear, drag, all that kind of stuff. So let me drop this guy back on. I got parts everywhere. I'm not keeping it organized. Put the main gear on. I'm gonna leave it dry. But that is nice. It's a nice thick carbon drag. It's definitely a thick carbon drag. All right, pinion gear, pinion yoke. Okay, so there's that. Spring. Put a little grease on the springs. Keep those lubed up. All right, so there's that. Now I'm going to switch greases. For the ceramic gear grease. As you can tell, you don't really use a lot of this because it's really only going on the ceramic or on the main gears, the pinion. So just apply it on the teeth so it gets in between the teeth. This stuff is pretty sticky, so it doesn't seem to really fling it off the gears. As you can see, it's pretty tedious to do this, but it can be worth it in the long run. All right, so this is the collar shaft. This guy goes in there. Put some oil in the pinion support bearing. And then some oil on the drive bearing. Put this guy back on. Slide that on. Shaft bearing on. Alright, so I can get rid of that. Get rid of this. A little tedious stuff. putting the 7, I think it's 7, 4, 6 screws back in. It's a lot of screws. Figure out where that'll go, right? So it's not too bad. Reel's a little dry. It's not terrible. I've seen much worse. And those reels do just fine. It's just my personal preference on putting the proper amount of oil, grease, all that kind of stuff on all these moving parts just to keep them lubed up. Especially if you fish in any kind of brackish or saltwater. It eliminates, or it helps prevent corrosion on the metal parts. I've seen a lot of reels that come in that are completely bone dry and there's just corrosion all inside because there's nothing there to prevent that. All right, so let's try and put this mega drag stack back on. It's weird. I don't know if that's, I don't know. I guess that's the way they wanted it, so. It just seems like a lot of washers. So I'm guessing it's gonna have 22 plus pounds of drag. Maybe a little more. So it's just a lot of that's a lot of pressure being put on the drag stack. All right, so there is that. Tighten that guy up. Let's see. Put the handle nut retainer on. Spool back on. Slide this guy. I'm gonna have to oil and grease the pinion, the worm gear as well. Let's do that here in a second. Oh yeah, now it definitely doesn't feel dry. Definitely feels a little bit better for sure. Definitely feels smoother. It doesn't feel as geary. So that's always good. Wipe this guy down. 182 grams, 210 grams at 7.4 ounces. As you saw in the last video. The only other thing I'm going to do, before I do it, I'm probably going to take this, I'm going to put some oil and grease on here on the outside, the inside here. And then I'm going to load it up with some line. I'm probably going to make some casts and some pitches and all that kind of stuff. And then from there, I'm probably going to upgrade the bearings. I'm going to upgrade the spool bearing on the side plate and the spool. And then see what it looks like on that. But this is the Dobyns Maverick. Went in, busted it open. Previous video, put some proper grease and oil in it. So it definitely feels better. It didn't feel terrible before, but you could tell it was kind of a little bit dry feeling on the gears. So I'm going to take the knobs off the other side that I haven't done, and I'm going to flush those and put some oil in it. But this is the Dobyns Maverick. It's a $99 reel. I mean, weight-wise, I think it's just a smidge heavy. For my personal taste, for the general public and everybody else, you got to understand that, I mean, $100 for the reel, I think it's going to probably perform a little bit better than a $100 reel. Just because of the spool weight being at that 10 grams, 10 to 12 grams, pretty light for a spool, especially a little bit deeper spool. Once you put line on it, of course, it's gonna add to weight, but you're starting at a pretty light startup inertia right here from the get-go. So initial thoughts, you know, durability wise, I don't know. It's brass gears. Brass gears should be fine over time. They're not aluminum. It's not aluminum and brass mix. So durability and everything, that's also the reason why it's a little bit heavier reel. Flex wise, I don't know. I haven't put on a rod yet. I haven't cranked on it yet. I've literally just got it in, as you guys can see, so I haven't fished with it. But that's why. I mean, it's a plastic frames, plastic everything, so, you know, keeps the cost down. But I can do a side-by-side here, as you can see, with the SLX, the same kind of price point. Let me see here. As you can see, the SLX is a little bit smaller from this side here to this side. It's also a little bit narrower as well. But they're very similar. This is a little bit lighter, of course. Same size handles. This might be a little bit bigger. Let me see. This might be a little bit bigger. I think they're both 90s. Let me see if I can get the calipers out. Let's see if I can get a caliper out here. $90 mil. This is going to be 95 mil. So you got a 95 millimeter handle on the Dobyns and a 90 mil on the SLX, hence why this is a little bit heavier. So not too bad. But there you go, guys. Smash that thumbs up, guys. Subscribe if you haven't. I appreciate you guys for watching. Might do a couple more videos. Just getting these testing in and all that kind of stuff. So appreciate you guys. Smash it up. Post below. Post your comments below. Appreciate it. Have a good one. Peace.